roundtable. The item, it's COVID-19 consequences on the work of ICANN At-Large and ALAC. I will try to moderate it. We will have as a speaker, I was waiting to have the slide, but we will have as a speaker Maureen, Hilyard, chair of ALAC. We will have then Göran, Marby, president and CEO of ICANN, and Natalia, Filina, EURALO secretary, and Maarten, Botterman, chairman of the ICANN board, and León, Sánchez, vice chair of the ICANN board. Thank you very much, each one of you and all of you, to be here with us and to participate. As you can see in the picture, I don't know if you hear me, but I have lost Zoom. You can hear me? Okay. Therefore, yeah, it's okay now. Yes. As you can see in the picture, I am in Chad, and we have the first school of internet governance here. Tijani, Esther Gnam from ISOC Cameroon came to Chad to deliver some lecture, and it was my first and last trip of this year, I am sure, but it's quite strange to travel in this period. Okay, let's go to the next slide, and I will give the floor to Maureen, and I am sure that she will introduce the topic much better than I can do. And Maureen, please go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sébastien, and thank you very much, as I did before, for your invitation to be part of your General Assembly, but also I'm very honoured to be able to start off this conversation on this panel about how COVID-19 and the whole pandemic has impacted our at-large community, and in particular our very many committed volunteers who've stuck with us during what has been a very challenging year for everyone. When we were we're very fortunate to attend an apricot meeting in Melbourne in February, and this was not only our first meeting of the year, just as you had, but also our last face-to-face meeting together for 2020 in our region. But it was when we were actually in Melbourne that we got the news that our first ICANN meeting was going to be, which was going to be in Cancun a couple of weeks later, was now going to be virtual. And while this was unexpected, I think we managed it really well as the at-large community banded together to transform what we'd already originally planned for our face-to-face sessions into an online and virtual series of presentations. By the time the second ICANN meeting came along, we were starting to feel some of the more pressing impacts of the pandemic. And a quick at-large workload survey identified that at least 80% of our community was experiencing many of the stresses related to working at home and what had become the new normal for many of our ICANN's communities. And of course, with this, the added pressure that was imposed on their work for ICANN. And I think ICANN had become an added responsibility on top of what was already going on in their lives, so that attending a working group meeting was no longer a spare time activity. There were other things to contend with, and things like finding a quiet space within their busy household to actually do the ICANN work, around their day job, which was for 95% of at-large, not related to domains or even the internet for many. But as well as that, there were family assignments to homeschool or just the routine care of children and other family members. And on top of that, there was the heavier load of the use of home internet connections and other related costs, but a host of other impacts on their lives. So the responses from at-large in the recent ICANN meeting survey, straight after the 3-week ICANN marathon, identified that some key areas that were standouts, not just from at-large, but also from the wider community as well, included, like, there were three standouts. Firstly, and understandably, there was the overwhelming wish across ICANN that we can eventually get back as soon as possible and as safely as possible to the pre-COVID meeting schedule, but with perhaps some changes to reflect what we've experienced during this past year from lessons learned. And there've been, there've been a lot of comments, and I know that ICANN's taking note of those. But we really do need to reflect more on, like what is really feasible. Secondly, there were comments that indicated that people wanted to know why we were persisting with 3 supposedly different formats of meetings, when in fact any differences in the virtual representation of each of these meetings was hardly noticeable at all. So perhaps there needs to be a clearer purpose and designation specifically for virtual meetings that need not match the face-to-face formats, but should be specific to the purpose of ICANN and important topics at the time to its various communities, but taking advantage of the fact that all these different constituencies are available to meet together to discuss what is important to ICANN. Anything other than that, what's important to them, can be done outside of the formal virtual ICANN meeting, like we do anyway, but it's just a thought. My third point is probably something that impacts more on and is more specific to at-large. We in at-large are particularly focused on engagement and participation. And when we're planning our normal working meetings, we're often suggesting ways and means of perhaps being more engaging and participative and attempting activities where we can at least pretend that we're in a face-to-face situation. But in order to provide for more effective presentations, ICANN needs to be a little bit more supportive of its communities with more appropriate resources and tools that will reflect a more engaging and multilingual virtual presentation environment. And I'm sort of like probably putting my foot in it here, but I have to mention those ghastly Zoom webinars. The gallery should have photos, not just names. We need to be able to see who's online and be able to chat and private chat with other participants. Presenters should be on video if they can, but not everyone has the bandwidth to have all attendees on video. Perhaps we need to, we could use breakout rooms more and encourage more creative use of polls and other Zoom audience interaction features that are already provided. But really, because we're always working in a virtual environment anyway, these tools should be made available for us to use as part of our normal working environment. And we could be practicing with these virtual presentation tools in between formal meetings, whether these formal meetings are virtual or face-to-face. But I just wanted to raise these, and I'm really looking forward to hearing from the other members on this very esteemed panel about how we can make virtual ICANN meetings, if we have to have them, how can we make them more meaningful for end users from across ICANN, especially during the remaining pandemic period and perhaps beyond, but always mindful that we're always looking forward to meeting up again with everyone again eventually. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maureen. Nice introduction, and thank you for bringing us a result of the survey you have conducted, and it's, I guess, very useful to know what it's important for us. may we go to the next slide, and I will give the floor to Göran. Please, we try to be your back, as you can see in the picture. We hope that it's supporting, not bothering you, but you have the floor now, Göran, please. Thank you.
Thank you. And you have to excuse me that I sometimes have a dog here, because my dog is a little bit afraid, because suddenly we have 3 fire trucks outside the house and we don't really know why. So if I just disappear, it's because something's happening, but so far we don't know why they're there. We can't see any fire. Welcome to LA. We are in fire season. Anyway, I was listening carefully to Maureen. Always nice to hear you, even if I didn't have the sound of your bird in the background today. I'm going to go sort of off script and talk about it. I think that, first of all, we had a very interesting discussion earlier this week. I don't know if you heard about that. And there was an event, I think, in Boston with about 150 people involved, that they calculated that 300,000 people after that got affected by the Covid-19. I think it was back in March or something. When we decided to go offline, to go off face-to-face meetings and go online, I think we actually saved lives when we did that one almost a year ago in the Cocoon meeting. And that thought makes me pause a little bit, because often in ICANN we talk about very important things, but not usually about life and death. And we made a decision collectively together that actually saved people's lives. And I think that's an important starting point. I mean, the COVID-19 has had consequences for everybody in every aspect of our life all around the world. To a greater extent or a lesser extent. Many of us knows people that has passed away, or have friends that knows people or relatives that passed away, just because of this. There is unemployment, there is an insecurity, and now suddenly we have a vaccine. So I won't go into that, but I'm going to sort of talk a little about what we've seen in the ICANN community. And I think it's fair. I want to, yes, it's true, Maureen, that going on Zoom calls is not as effective as doing anything else. And it's become, a lot of us has worked online anyway, because we are such a diverse institution. But what I want to point is that after the last ICANN meeting, ICANN 69, and running up to that, I think that one of the things we acknowledge is that we cannot just change how we did Cocoon, and we did that in 2 weeks, and it was a fantastic meeting. So everybody felt that we're going to do this together, and everybody accepted that we needed to do something different, have a face-to-face meeting. Then we went to the next meeting, the summer meeting. Was sort of, it was a shorter meeting. We could do that. It's okay. There was also this sense in the air that this is, things are going positive. And then we go into the third meeting of the year, the big annual general meeting, and I think everybody realizes that. You did great. We did great at ICANN.org, but collectively, I think a lot of us left that meeting like, yeah. So what we decided to do was that together with Maureen and the other SOs and AC leaders, we came up with this thing that we should form a discussion within the community about how to do meetings in the future. There are some good things we learned about how we do things, how we can do things better virtually, but there are also some points that we have to care about during this period. So by doing the survey we did, which I know that many of you participated in, we're trying to really get a discussion back in the ICANN community about should we do meetings, not only during COVID, but also after a COVID period. So. And without, we were in the process of analyzing the data. We just went out with a proposal through the SOs and ACs who want to form that discussion, because in the end, how we do meetings essentially has, we are doing it for the community and the stakeholders. We're not doing it for themselves. And many other points, but there's also a difference. There are things that ICANN can fix as an institution. There are things we cannot fix. We can't fix COVID. We can't get access to vaccines. We can't, there's a lot of things we have to figure this way out. Figuring out how to do things together in the collective, because in the end, ICANN is about one thing, and that is actually about making decisions. And if we can't have a format for making those decisions in a multi-stakeholder way, then we fail the whole process miserably. And I'm listening to Maureen, and I agree with many of the things how we can do differently, and especially when it comes to the, everybody, there's always this discussion inside ICANN who's a volunteer or not, and I'm not going to go into that. I see a lot of passionate people engaging for different reasons in the ICANN institution. I'm very proud that when I go on calls or do anything, I can literally have people from all over the world coming together and talk about things that I actually care about. But I don't think there's a singularity answer how to improve this during COVID or after COVID. But I want the community to have that discussion and forward the discussion and involve us in it. So for practical reasons right now, we have a little bit of time pressure because formally we have to make a decision if we're going to go to Cancun or not. I can tell you that the probability for us to be able to go to Cancun for the first meeting of next year is very low. But I don't want to just make a decision, let's go to another non-face-to-face meeting again, like we do it all the time. I really want to have the input from the community. How do we do the best? How do we do it the best way? And there's been some really good inputs from the community. We cannot just replace the physical world with a virtual world. We actually have to do things differently. So one of the reasons why we haven't formally cancelled Cancun is because we want to have that input so we can present the alternative how to do it for the ICANN community. We can fix a lot of viruses, Oksana, but not this one. Not really. Thank you very much. And we're not buying a cruise ship either, which was one of the proposals that came up. The end of this is that I think that we have a lot of lessons to be learned from this one. But I think that some of those lessons we need to have them. We get to know those lessons also for a non-COVID world. I can't say how long it's going to take before we come back to what you deem as important, what I deem as important, face-to-face meetings. The face-to-face meetings might look different. To give you a small example, if you look through the material we got in, maybe more regional meetings, maybe and I'm just saying maybe, because there's no decisions and the really lies in your hands. Maybe the ICANN meetings will be more about where you as a community come together to do cross-community work, and then you have regionalized, or you have meetings that is more focused on the things you want to do. Maybe that's what we're going to see in the future, but we need to learn from this because there are consequences, and we have to take them to account. I'm open for questions, by the way, or comments, or
Thank you very much, Göran. Before I give the floor to Natalia, I just want to say that you may wish to reach out to one group who were meeting strategy working group a few years ago. Some of the participants are still participating to ICANN meetings. They spend a long time in discussing how to evolve ICANN meeting. It's not to say they have the solution. Definitely not, but it could be interesting to cross fertilize what they have done and what is the current situation. Sorry, I am a little bit in both sides as I was sharing this working group, but as a member, I quite keen, and I am sure that they will be able to give some good insight on why we are here and what could be done. But it's just a suggestion, it's nothing else.
I mean, it's not an unfair or not a bad suggestion. The thought process we had was really, we felt, and I felt, the importance of the ICANN community through its small, I sometimes call them acronym soups, but that's not, all those different parts should be able to talk about from their perspective. Because I know that it's very hard. I mean, if you're, especially in At-Large, you are so diverse in so many different parts of the world with different connotations and different abilities. It's very different to sit in France and to sit in an African country, a Latin American country, and something. And then we were the Caribbeans. I mean, we really wanted it to have those discussions on a fairly granular level before we moved it up to higher discussions. And for practical reasons, we choose to have the existing group of the SOs and ACs. Sort of coordinating that, because we want to make sure it's part of the community. So it's just an alternative method, but I hope your views and your opinions as an individual, which I highly respect and I know you have knowledge, has been able to participate in that one.
Yeah, thank you, Göran. Just to be sure that it's clear, it was a multi-stakeholder working group, geographically balanced, gender balance, and so on and so forth. But I take your point, and there is no need to do that if it's not the right way to go. It was just a suggestion. Natalia, please, can you take the floor? Next slide, please, and go ahead, please. Thank you, Natalia.
Thank you very much, Sébastien. So I understand my place in this discussion from up to bottom, then to up to Maarten. Okay, so I would like to start with a short story about my incorrect forecasting. So when the pandemic began, we have in EURALO leadership Skype group discussing related the production of EURALO merch. And Sébastien, you remember that you suggested making masks for faces with the EURALO logo, At-Large and EURALO logo, and Olivier supported this idea, but I said something like this: do you really think we need it because the pandemic will end so soon and we don't need any masks, any distance, and any memories of this terrible pandemic time? And now I understand that I was so young this spring and so naive, and so now we are wearing masks, and we don't have the previous benefits of our life and our work. And in our work in At-Large, now we focus it not on building up the EURALO, the community, but on keeping our community. Because, you know, being a volunteer is not so easy, and being a volunteer, having a commitment in different volunteering organization, like many of our members have, is not so easy too. And unfortunately, we see how our community now melting, because people care about their health, about the family members, about the work, and they have to work harder now, and I care about children who learning at home, and of course people changing the priorities. So we understand everything, but in At-Large we really haven't any time for regrets. We are very busy with work, and thank you so much, Maureen, for this. So we are adopting step by step our interaction format, and I would like to thank you, Göran, and ICANN board members and staff for the high level of standard of our organization and support of our work and our meetings, because now we can compare it. And I really want to be positive in my 5 minutes here, and to be positive, I learned from, I think, my parents, my mentors from At-Large, and from Elon Musk, who said that in any situation, we assume different scenarios of ramifications. And in each scenarios, we should get our own benefit. So it was a little bit difficult, but I found several benefits of our difficult time, I mean, for our community members, and I prepared the notice. So the first is our community members now have equal opportunities to participate not only in our work, but also in global events. And I would like to encourage our members to take this opportunity. And any crisis helps us to generate new ideas. And now we can see when we participate, or even when we create an absolutely new format of our regional and global activities. So we are doing it great. So the crisis is likely to renew the ranks of active players. I mean, it may change our core of our active community team. Second one is pandemic is a time to learn more. And for example, our great capacity building in at-large capacity building work created something like new university for people. So it helps a lot. And we have seen how our community can help those members who had or having difficulties or being in difficult situation due to the pandemic challenges. And I think we now can feel like in family. So I always feel it in at-large, and I would like to thank for this, my emotions. And from the negative side, so I think we all may envy, for example, now Sébastien, who has the opportunity to travel, at least as he said one time in this strange year. And in final, I think we will survive and we will become better. I think maybe more concentrated as community. And we are changing our internal processes, and it is always progress. And I think we will achieve a great result. And I thank you for your support and your willingness to discuss the return to our global face-to-face meetings, because this is a very important part of the life of the ICANN community. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalia. And it's good to have your image with some light behind you, with your, I guess, Christmas tree. And I am happy to have picked your photo with some light on top of your hair also. And thank you for your inputs. We are not going to top to down and back to top. We are all in the same community, and we are doing different part of the job. And I am sure that it's also very important to have your voice heard. It's why I am happy to have you talking as your heart from where you are seated here and where you are coming. You are quite new with ICANN, but you know already a lot, and thank you very much for your input. And can we go to next slide? And I would like to give the floor to Martin, and thank you very much for participating to be with us tonight. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Sébastien. On parle en anglais, n'est-ce pas?
Yes.
Okay. Then we'll thank you, Natalia, as well. And for a moment, I thought Sébastien is going to say it's all going to go downhill from here on, but fortunately, he didn't say that. It's truly a pleasure to be here. I also enjoyed the interaction we had more recently during ICANN 69 in the workshop that you organized. And actually, I'm still drinking from my IGF cup. And I remember being your guest of the EURALO meeting there in Berlin last year. Yeah, we didn't know where it would go. And I must say, I was actually in Austria at Domain Fest with the German part of the community at the time that we had as a board to decide on what we would do with our meeting in Mexico. At that time, it wasn't obvious because there wasn't examples out there how to deal with this. We didn't know how bad it would get, as you very well expressed, Natalia. And really, it was a tough decision. And I remember going after the first day of the Domain Fest to my room, prepare for the meeting, have the meeting, where after really thorough deliberations and well informed by Göran and his team, and we were ready to take the right decision. And next morning, obviously, the people from the conference knew that was a decision to be had. I got the floor and I shared this news. and people understood. They knew it was a difficult decision, and they didn't like it. But they understood also that it wasn't just a fling from us to say like, oh, let's not do the meeting in Cancun. It was the right thing to do. And as Göran very well expressed, for the first meeting, it's amazing what the organization got done by getting everything virtual and get it going. And of course, the second time, the same thing wouldn't have been good enough because we learned from the first time. And the third time, the AGM, we really tried, and we really tried together. The organization worked closely with the community, the meeting planning team. As you know, the agenda for the ICANN meetings is set with the community on how to organize it. And we ended up sitting online for 3 weeks almost, which wasn't the plan and maybe not the best way of dealing with this. But we continue to engage. We really want to get the job done, and we continue to learn. And I'm very happy to see now this movement where the input came from the community on better ways forward. And as you know, right now there's also some thoughts that have been shared with the community to get some feedback on, so we can take a decision on the next step. Maybe not the eternal truth, but the best possible decision at that time, early January. Why we also feel we don't have to decide yet in Cancun is that a year ago, a lot needed to be arranged because people planned flying there, planned hotels, etc. Right now, we haven't recommended anybody to prepare for that. So that's slightly different. So that's one thing. If one thing surprised me, or I'm very happy and proud of that we managed to do, the work we needed to do, we got done this year. We as a board, but also board and community. It's amazing how much we did get done together, in the full understanding that none of us asked for this COVID to happen and that we were bound by these circumstances. And that while COVID is happening, at the same time, the stakes of the internet go up, and also increase the pressure on ICANN for that reason to do our job well. People looking over our shoulders and thinking they may need to care about this. So it's crucial that also in these times we continue to do our work in such a way that we also can show that we're good stewards of this domain name space that makes this unique single internet possible around the world. And we'll continue to do so, no doubt. So in the meanwhile, we also learned new terms like the 1.5 meter society, but also like Zoom fatigue, new words that came up. Well, don't get too tired from Zoom yet, but let's find the right way forward in how to use it to help us to continue to do what we need to do. At the same time, realizing that we may not get to things that we otherwise would have gotten to, and that are more important on a different level, on a more fundamental level of how we live and engage with each other as human beings, as different interest organizations, as people from different cultural backgrounds. So I'm also asking for your understanding and sympathy, your patience with that, if I may say, while we continue to move forward and learn with each other. So I think also this session and other sessions show how we can overcome challenges and how we can affect things together. And for sure, these roundtables now hosted by EURALO, and as I understand, during ICANN 70, LIVESTREAM will also take an active role in facilitating this. I think ALAC has a lot to bring in how to engage with communities around the world. In that way, like the GAC, like the board, we truly have a global participation that we need to deal with. And one thing we will not be overcoming is the Zoom lag, the time lags, because there will be no perfect times for meetings that everybody can participate. Somebody will suffer all the time, and how to find the best way forward is also a key subject that we will need to do while we are still in this online age. Once we're getting out of this online age, I very much agree with previous speakers as well. Let's make sure that we keep the good things, the things we learned, the things we thought were never possible before and show to be possible or even useful in moving forward. So next to making the best out of what we can do, let's continue to learn, experiment, have patience and with each other in this and move forward together as we do. So thanks again for this invitation, and really looking forward to discuss further with you.
Thank you very much, Martin. Thank you to have spoken to us in English and not in French, as you do usually.
I would have preferred Dutch. I would have preferred Dutch.
Yeah, I know. But thank you for having you. And next slide, please. I would like to give the floor to León, last but not least. And I don't know if we are going up or down, but I don't want to enter to this discussion anymore. Therefore, León, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Sébastien, and thank you everyone for having me again. As I usually say when I'm with the EURALOs and of course the ALAC, it's good to be back home. And yes, I think that COVID pandemic has posed several challenges to all of us, but especially for those that, like us in the community, devote our work to ICANN in a voluntary basis. And I'm pretty sure that you will be familiar with many of the challenges that we have been facing through this pandemic. For example, Maarten was saying about the net lag, right? When we hold Zoom meetings in strange hours, it's not the same to have jet lag for a day or two and then climatize to the time zone where the meeting is being held, as opposed to being home and needing to hold the meetings in the middle of the night or very early in the morning. And well, the difference also is that when you travel to a face-to-face meeting, then everyone knows that you are not in your hometown, right? And whatever they need from you, they will get in touch with you either via email or instant messaging or whatever. But when you are home and you have to hold the meeting, well, you know, the show doesn't stop. It usually has 2 or 3 shows running on parallel. So if we are holding the meetings in a virtual setup and at strange hours for some of us, well, that means that you won't be able to have a good night's sleep. And as soon as you would be able to go to sleep, then it'll be daytime for your family and you'll have to catch up with them as well. You'll need to have the kids ready for school, cook them breakfast or whatever you need to do to have them connected to their online lessons. And then of course you need to also pay attention to your day job while keeping track of what the kids are doing at school. So it kind of gets messy and also burdensome at some point. So I guess I see that Maureen is saying that it sounds familiar, and I guess yes, I think it's pretty much what we are all going through at this time. And the fact that a community like At-Large does this on a voluntary basis, it's something that we should be proud of, something we should be grateful for, and something that we should praise, because the work that the at-large community performs, it's usually outstanding, but under the current circumstances, it's just above everything that we have seen before. So I would like to, of course, recognize and acknowledge the at-large community, the EURALO community, for all their efforts. This year, you may have had some strange hours in the meetings in regard to Zoom. Next year, hopefully, these hours won't be as bad, and even by middle of the year, we'll see how things are going, and we'll see if it's possible to go back to our face-to-face setups. As Martin was saying, when we first took the decision of turning the Cancun meeting into a virtual meeting, that was actually a very hard decision for me personally to make, because of course I wanted to host you all in Mexico, and well, sadly, conditions in Mexico are still not good to receive you here and to have you here. So again, it's likely that the Cancun meeting will also be virtual on 2021. And of course, I very much look forward to hosting you in Mexico as soon as this pandemic ends, and as soon as everyone is safe, and it's feasible to travel from one country to another. So with that, Sébastien, I would very much like to thank you again for all the work that you are doing. You are definitely setting the bar high for other RALOs. You are setting a very good example. You are being also followed by other RALOs in some of the things that you are doing, and that only shows how the sum of the parts of the at-large community actually makes this community a very powerful and strong community within ICANN. We are good as individual parts and individual regions within ICANN, but when we add up all of the regions, all of the knowledge, all of the experience, and all of the work that every region does, I think we are an outstanding example of how collaboration can actually make things happen, and how our bottom-up processes and the multi-stakeholder process that guides all our decisions is actually put in practice and set in place, so that we can deliver in the best way possible for the end users. So thank you again, Sébastien. Thank you again, EURALO leadership and ALAC members, for having me here. And as usual, I am a click away from you. Feel free to reach out to me anytime for whatever reason, even just to say hi. I'm really happy to receive your messages. Thank you again.
Thank you very much, León. And I would like first to thank all the participants, all the speakers. León, you were one of the few who travel, I guess, and I am sure for very good purposes this year. Therefore, you were not always at home with just taking care of your family. You were also taking care of your family traveling. And once again, I guess it was for a very good reason. I just wanted to say thank you for your congratulations, but I feel that we need to learn from each other, and I don't want to be seen as the chair of EURALO putting the bar high. I am trying to do the best, but if we do that, it's because we learn from the other, and we always learn from the other. It's a way where we can enhance the situation and the participation. And we don't do the same in each region because we are not the same. we have not the same background, the same culture, the same way of living. Therefore, I am not expecting the other to follow, but to do some things they need to do. And if we can give them some ideas, that's good. And we are happy to share. I don't know if we have already hands. I guess Betty put her hands up. I don't know if she's still willing, but I would like first to take the opportunity that we have Manal Ismail, the chair of the GAC, with us today to say a few words, because I am sure that GAC have different way of thinking and difficulties. And I take this opportunity to thank all the board members who participate both to the General Assembly and to this roundtable. We have 14 minutes to go, therefore I would like to have just 2 minutes talk. We will not put a timer, but please try to keep within 2 minutes. Manal, please, thank you very much for coming, and you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Sébastien, and thank you everyone for the kind invitation. Actually, we had a call earlier with the ALAC aligning views on substance, but I can assure you also that we are aligned on other matters as well. So we are facing the same challenges, and we're trying to work things out within the GAC in terms of technical challenges, time zone challenges, but also other human challenges, like people not being at their very best, worried about their families, having more family matters to attend to and to take care of. So I think we're in the same boat, and I also know it's very difficult to plan for something without any concrete givens. So I think so far ICANN is doing an amazing job, and I look forward to working with other parts of the community, with the board and with ICANN, so that we can keep progressing and keep moving on. And I'm sure we'll be at a good place at the end. Thank you.
Manal, thank you very much. And just to give you one example, when we were virtually in Kuala Lumpur, we had a social event organized for some at-large people, and it was a cooking course online, and it was 1 a.m. in France, and I was cooking a soup, and I was to eat it at 1 a.m. When it was done, and it was quite strange life, but it's also interesting. We learn from that, I am sure, and happy that we are aligned with the GAC members, and I think definitely we do a great job, and under Maureen and your leadership, it's great and going in the right direction. Thank you very much. Matthias, please take the floor.
Hello, Matthias Rummenigge speaking for the record. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Great. First of all, thank you very much for this great General Assembly and the interesting roundtable. Great pleasure that I am able to serve as an ALAC member of EURALO. Since Göran, you are here, I want to use this unique opportunity to ask you a question about your favorite topic, who is the GDPR. I spent more than a year with this topic when I was writing my JD thesis about it. And my question would be looking a bit into your crystal ball. What do you think? How will the phase 2 evolve? And will there be a solution within a realistic time frame? So certainly there needs to be one. And I would be curious to hear your thoughts on that, since you are really trying hard to solve that never-ending story, also from an CEO perspective, I would say. Thank you.
What a simple question. I don't even know. I mean, it's a very good question. And I have to, I'm moving around just because I need to rethink what so first of all, let me take it from a couple of perspectives. First of all, the ICANN community has, through a policy process, come up with a solution for a policy, which means that my job right now, and it's really to prepare the board for making that happen. The community has spoken. The GNSO Council has made its decision. They've taken in the minority statements, they've taken everything to account, and according to the way we do things, that's how the system works. My job now, and we actually, because of the complication with this, we decided to come up, to do the process of preparing the board a little bit more transparent, and I came up with the operational design phase, and we share that with you as well, so you know what's going to happen, because it's a complicated issue. And then the board, according to the way we set up, is going to accept the recommendations from the GNSO if we can't think something that doesn't work, and then the board has to go back to GNSO. But the community has spoken, so my job is to make it happen. So then everybody would say, well, what about the costs? What about all of those things? Yes, there is, ICANN has to do things that the community decides. I mean, it is the essences of it. I'm not saying that money is not an issue, but we sort of have to figure out a way to finance that. And the problem is right now, I don't even know what it's going to cost. And there are some other small things I don't know, which we have to figure out and work with the community and the GNSO about. It's like, there is a small thing about the privacy data shield from Europe as well, what is called international data transfers, which is now, which is a little bit of a problem, because it could be so that sharing data out of a centralized system might not be fully legal if you're outside the EU. I don't know if you saw that, but we just made this week, I think, or was it last week? I can't remember, in COVID times, a submission to the proposal about the data, the privacy shields. You can find that on our web, where we actually ask questions for clarifications about the potential of doing that. So that, and then the ICANN community, the GNSO Council, I understand, is going to start something called the 2A or 2B, to be or not to be, maybe. That was probably the worst joke I've done today. Anyway, so the continuous discussion would happen. But with that said, I expect further legal proposals from the European Commission fairly soon. That might, to some extent, change the conversation within the ICANN community as well. So, but yeah, I mean, it's not over. Remember that, so let's take a step back on all of this. WHOIS was open and the legislation came around. We reacted on that legislation, which we reacted late. I think we all agree on that, and we're learning a lot from it. And I think that one of the biggest challenges for us as an institution is for how do you make policy under a law that is not clearly defined what the boundaries are. And I think that's been a very good, I mean, it's been a learning lesson for all of us. I want to take the opportunity to thank everybody involved in the ICANN community and the different policy working groups who's done amazing work. There are some people who've been criticizing it, but I'm, the work, the level of quality in ICANN when it comes to working through those policies, phase 1 and phase 2, is actually quite amazing. Where some people say that we failed is where we don't know what the law says. Because there is we don't know some of the things of the law, and the things we know about the law, which are really that we receive guidance, are things that put boundaries onto us. But with that said, it's like you said, it's my personal view is that I think that ICANN should, and I think we're almost there to be able to do something that we haven't done before. And I've said it so many times. I think ICANN community should come together and actually talk about the balance between transparency, the need for transparency, and the right for privacy, the need for privacy. We should have that and be able to apply that to things like WHOIS, and be able to apply that to policies that we make. And I know that we've been trying to do this before, but I think the world has moved on, and I think that the ICANN community could do this. So reverting back to you instead, I would say, why don't at large, together with your actually have the conversation about forget about who is, forget about the legislation. Forget about that for a while and really think, what does ICANN as an institution think about in our world when it comes to privacy and the need for transparency? Because if we get that, if we actually had that, I know governments around the world would actually listen to it. And I know that that can become a formula for actually proceeding within ICANN. And I trust the ICANN community to come up with that. Hey, I signed on for a couple more years because I'm so stubborn and I actually believe in what I do. Was that any way, shape or form, any answer to your question?
Göran, it's Sébastien. I want to thank you because I would have been, but I will never been. On your seat, I will say it was not the topic of the meeting. The crew came to this meeting and asked you questions outside of the remit of what we were supposed to discuss today. You were very kind to answer it, but I feel sad that we are out of
Sébastien,
discussion.
I wouldn't be what I am if I'm not prepared to take any questions from you, and having the ability to answer those questions in front of you is not something that I would never, I put that as an honor to myself. Thank you for having the trust to ask me any question.
And I understand you, I trust you, and it's to your honor, but I wouldn't have been me not to do this comments either. I think
Sébastien, you usually ask me a harder question than that anyway.
Yeah, but it's
indeed. Thank you, Göran.
It's when the time is for that. But I would like to thank you, and I will give you less than 1 minute to conclude. All of you, each one of you, if you wish. But I think it was a useful and interesting exchange. We have a good participation, but I want to take this opportunity to say that there are few people here. I trust they are more in trouble than some of us. A lot of us know each other. We met, we hug, we talk face to face, but there are some people who never met. Some of them are from LSEs, but they already participate to some activity. But I would like to say thank you to Parry. She joined ALAC in this period, and she never met us, just in virtual environment. And I think it must be quite difficult and troublesome to start to be an ALAC member in that situation. That I would like to congratulate her and to offer her any help if we can from each and every one of us to help you to do your job the best as you can. And I guess it's the same for all the new leaders we have in this community who never meet us before. Parry, welcome. And now I would like to give you the floor in the order you want. I don't want to decide which one want to make 30 seconds of conclusion if you want. Thank you.
Hi, I'll go first because I was first. Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you very much, Sébastien. Again, a great session, and I really did appreciate hearing from Göran and Maarten and León. And I know that I can actually honestly say that Göran's actually giving everybody an opportunity to sort of like have input as much as possible into the sorts of decisions that we're making with regards to that. And although I may have raised some issues, I do believe that we get heard, and I just wanted to pass that on. Thank you.
Thank you, Maureen. Natalia, you want to say a few words?
Yes, I would like to say that I thank all of you for this warm discussion and great General Assembly and this roundtable, and for being here together at such busy time for everyone today, tonight, for someone. Take care of yourself and see you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Natalia. Maarten?
Maybe I can
go, Göran.
Maybe I can end with something I say, and my team will know this in every meeting I have internally, is that please take care of yourself, because I actually need you now, but I'm going to need you when this is over as well. We need each other, and we're going to need each other after this as well. So we shouldn't create any problems that actually we can't take care of when this is over. I need you now, but I also need you now. Thank you. And wash your hands.
And thank you, Göran, and we need you too. Maarten, please.
Yeah, no, just to wish you all a good break and good reflections on the year that we had and the year that we come. And yes, it's been hard, and it's been harder on some than on others. And there's been good things. So really thank you all for engaging with us in this warm way, in this deep way. And thank you for organizing this workshop. And we do look forward so much to making things happen again next year. And maybe even meet. Who knows?
Who knows, Maarten? We hope for that, and we hope if we don't go to León country, maybe we will go to Maarten country, hopefully.
That would be about 2 kilometers from where I was born, that conference center. So I wouldn't mind.
That we need to come. León, please.
Thank you, Sébastien. Well, first of all, that wasn't Göran's worst joke. I've heard worse. And I from the bottom of my heart, again, I am grateful to you for all the work you've done this year, and I wish you the very best holiday season in whatever tradition, in whatever faith, in whatever form you celebrate this end of year. I wish you the very best, and I can't wait to say hello to everyone and each of you on a face-to-face setup, and as I usually do, to hold you and embrace you as my family. So happy holidays to everyone, and let 2021 be the best year ever.
Thank you very much, León. Once again, thank you for all the speaker, for all the attendees. It was a very good General Assembly because of your participation, not because of my chairmanship. And thank you for your inputs. I hope that we will work together in the next year in a good shape. Thank you for staff organizing so well this meeting. I am happy that my connection went well up to the end. And take care. Have a good evening. Have a good holiday season. Bye-bye all. Take care of you.
Bye, everyone. Happy holidays. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you very much, everyone, for joining.
Bye.
Happy holidays.